It is St. Patrick's Day, a day of celebration of Irish culture. So we thought we would check in with a good Irish friend of the show, the Irish ambassador to Singapore, Patrick Bourne. Good morning and happy St. Patrick's Day, Ambassador.
Top of the morning to you, Michelle, and Lo Eile Pádraig Faoi Chonadit, which is Happy St. Patrick's Day in Irish. Great pleasure to be with you and to join you in the wearing of the green for our special National Day. Thanks.
Yes, I did my bit, as you can see, Ambassador. Tell us, why is wearing green such a big part of the tradition on St. Patrick's Day?
Because green is the colour of the shamrock, and the shamrock is a little Irish plant with 3 leaves, not a 4-leaf clover. That's a mistake a lot of people make, but 3 leaves. And it was used by St. Patrick to tell the story of the unity of the Holy Trinity. So it has a religious background, but it's come to be a symbol also of spring and of recovery and new growth, and just that sort of new hope and new beginning. So in fact, as we sort of hopefully begin to emerge from COVID, it's a really important. It's like green shoots, new growth, recovery. So it's a symbol of hope. So hopefully it'll prove true.
So we love jumping in on everybody's celebrations and festivals here in Singapore, and especially since we can't travel, what can we all do here in Singapore to mark the occasion? What will you be doing, Ambassador?
Well, we've already had a couple of weeks of it. I used to say that we had St. Patrick's Day, then it became St. Patrick's Week. Now it seems to be St. Patrick's Month, because the whole month of March seems to be full, and especially because we can't have large gatherings these days, I suppose. So there's lots more small gatherings going on. So amongst the things that people can do, Chimes, right in the centre of town in Singapore, is having a lovely Irish promotional festival. I was there on Friday night for the opening of it. There are lovely shamrock domes where people can have a dining experience for groups of up to 8 people. There's a good deal on the Guinness going on. There's a great Spotify playlist playing throughout Chimes, curated by none other than Ambassador Pat Bourne. It's called Pat's Best of Irish, and it features Anne Morrison and Thin Lizzy and U2 and all those great Irish singers and acts. At the Fullerton Hotel, there's a special Irish afternoon tea that's going on every Saturday and Sunday through the month of March. At Cure Concepts, Andrew Walsh, Irish chef, has 3 wonderful restaurants in Singapore: Cure, Butcher Boy, and Catfish. All fantastic, all offering special Irish themed meals and special prices as well, also for the month of March. There's lots of stuff online. The Irish community will be doing a virtual St. Patrick's Day parade. We normally have a parade downtown at Victoria Theatre Lawns and across the bridge there. This year it's going to be a virtual one. Everybody's filming themselves parading, and that's all going to be patched together. And this evening, the embassy, we would normally host a big in-person reception with lots of food and music and celebration. This year, again, it's going online, but it promises to be great. I'll be making a short speech, but we'll have our Taoiseach joining us, our Prime Minister, Micheál Martin, joining us from Ireland, and we'll also have some wonderful Irish music and a specially commissioned piece about the new Irish film Wolfwalkers. Just been nominated for an Academy Award. Has great music to it, great animation, and it's really something beautiful. There was an Irish virtual online music festival on Saturday night, which was great. There was a performance by Irish dancers online on Sunday, which was also fantastic. It really is going on. The Irish community have been fantastic, and they've really done a tremendous job to try and keep alive that spirit of celebration, music, joy and storytelling and all those things that are associated with Ireland, albeit that this year it's very much in the virtual space for the most part, and in small gatherings rather than in the big gatherings that we also.
Well, for people who want to listen to that Spotify playlist that you curated, Ambassador, can they check it out themselves on Spotify?
They can. Pat's Best of Irish. But I'll tweet it and I'll put it out on our embassy Facebook. And what I'll do, I'll invite people, foolish of me probably, but I'll invite people to check out the playlist and tell me which songs should be there that aren't, and which songs are on the list that they don't like, and they can reply with all their complaints and all their suggestions. It's a work in progress.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be great fun. Now, speaking of your Taoiseach, I understand Micheál Martin, the Irish Taoiseach, will meet U.S. President Joe Biden virtually this St. Patrick's Day. Ambassador, what are you going to be looking out for from this meeting?
Well, this is something that's been a tradition. Every year, the Irish Taoiseach, the Prime Minister, has very special honor and privilege and access to be able to go to Washington, have an in-person meeting with the U.S. President, and present him or her with a bowl of shamrock and have a tete-a-tete. This year, because of COVID, it was decided not to do that in person, and the Taoiseach stayed in Dublin. But they're going to have a 1 hour long video conference call, which is quite extraordinary when you consider, Joe Biden, newly elected president, not in office long, obviously a big in tray on his desk, but he's willing to take an hour today to talk to the Prime Minister of Ireland. They'll be talking about a lot of things. They'll be comparing notes on the response to the pandemic, about the COVAX initiative. Both Ireland and the United States are big supporters of this collective, collaborative approach to try and roll out vaccines, particularly to poorer countries and disadvantaged countries that don't have access to the commercial vaccines and so forth. They'll be talking about the situation in the European Union at the moment, the European Union's relationship with Britain. They'll be talking about the EU-US relationship and how to kickstart that, but also strongly focusing on the bilateral economic agenda. There's a lot of American companies invested in Ireland and have their Europe, Middle East, Africa headquarters in Ireland. Likewise, there's a lot of Irish companies, over 900 Irish companies invested in the US, creating over 110,000 jobs. So there's a very strong, very significant economic relationship with them, and they'll be talking about that, including also, and one thing I'll be particularly looking out for, is how Ireland can act as a bridge or between American companies and Asian companies and Asian economies to do business. I think there are real opportunities for places like Singapore, who have the Asia Pacific headquarters operations of many multinationals, including many American multinationals, and Ireland, which has the European equivalent. So there's real synergies for Ireland and Singapore to work together with American partnership, and I think that's a great opportunity, and that's one thing I'll be particularly looking out for.
Speaking of the economic scenario, the EU is taking the legal route to resolve a prolonged Northern Ireland Protocol dispute over checks on certain goods like supermarket goods, plant products. And these were introduced in Northern Ireland on the 1st of January this year. Ambassador, what do you think needs to happen so that the implementation of the Northern Ireland Protocol does not impact stability in Northern Ireland?
Well, I think that the protocol has to be implemented. That's the bottom line. This is the legacy of a decision taken by the people of Britain in 2016 to leave the European Union. We in Ireland certainly didn't want that outcome. We didn't want the UK to leave the European Union. The European Union didn't want Britain to leave. It was a decision taken by Britain. It was a protracted divorce negotiation, so to speak. I won't bore your listeners with the ins and outs of all of that, but finally, it's happened since the end of the year, and it's happened on the basis of a legal international treaty that Britain and the European Union signed, which includes the Northern Ireland Protocol, and that's binding, and that should be implemented. Yes, it has some complications, but I think Britain and Northern Ireland in particular have gotten a very good deal. They are able to continue to trade and have economic relationships with the European Union on very favourable terms, tariff-free and so forth. I think the best possible deal, short of what would have been our preferred outcome for the United Kingdom to remain part of the single market and part of the customs union. But the upshot of it is that necessarily requires some paperwork, some form filling. There has to be some administration involved, because the European Union has to protect its market, has to protect the integrity of its sanitary and phytosanitary systems, the animal welfare and plants and vegetables and so forth. So those checks are required, and they have to take place. Now there's a special arrangement for Northern Ireland, which in many ways has the best of both worlds. It continues to have access to the European Union because it's part of the island of Ireland, but obviously it's also part of the UK market and customs union. But that means that some of those checks at least have to take place in the interface between mainland Britain and Northern Ireland. And I don't think there's any way around that, and I hope the British will implement that. Now, you say the European Union is taking the legal route, but of course it's not exclusively taking the legal route. Negotiations and dialogue are continuing, between the European Union and the UK. Ireland very much supporting that. Ireland very much encouraging, a reasonable, mutually agreeable settlement of whatever disputes are there. And I think, and I hope, the common sense will fail. We've all got enough problems that we're facing in terms of the outworkings of the pandemic and the restrictions associated with that, climate change and all the problems that we're facing because of that. We don't need very close neighbours and very good friends to get into too much difficulties over really relatively easily resolved problems to do with administrative matters.
So you're still hopeful that there's space for diplomacy to make headway here?
I'm always hopeful, Michelle, and particularly on St. Patrick's Day. And I think all of the administrations involved here are reasonable. They're mature, and I think they will recognise and abide by international commitments and international agreements that have been signed.
Final
and
question.
That's the way forward.
One more question before we let you get to your shamrock. What are your expectations more broadly for investors listening in? What are your expectations for British-Irish relations in the aftermath of Brexit?
Well, I mean, there were shifts happening even before Brexit, and some of them are negative, and Ireland will certainly incur some damage, because of Brexit. Britain is our largest market for food exports, cheese, dairy products, meats, and so forth. And Britain will probably not, be procuring as much of those. But that means there's opportunities now for, the real high quality Irish food products to seek out markets elsewhere. And certainly there's strong interest in exporting more to Southeast Asia, including to Singapore. Many international companies that have been based in Britain are looking to certainly hedge their bets or diversify their operations, and most importantly, continuing to have a footprint in the European Union. So they are, moving in some cases part of their operations to another European Union member state, and Ireland has benefited from a lot of that. Certainly well in excess of 100 companies that had operations or headquarters in Britain have relocated at least part of that to Ireland, and we think that's a trend that will continue. I think, and certainly in the future, we will, I think unashamedly position Ireland as the only English-speaking country now in the European Union. A country with a common law system, and with a lot of other cultural and historical similarities with countries like Singapore, which can provide a really beneficial and profitable base for international investors and international traders, with direct access to that still very, very large, still very prosperous middle class consumer market that is the European Union, with well in excess of 400 million consumers there, and through a country like Ireland, unrestricted, unfettered access, in terms of trade in goods and services and so forth. Particularly also benefited by the European Union Singapore Free Trade Agreement, which is now well in operation, and hopefully other free trade arrangements that we hope to expand in the coming period. And
one final question. I keep saying one final question, but we can't let you go yet.
I could stay here all day talking to Michelle.
Irish Ambassador to Singapore, Patrick Bourne, joining us live. Once we can all travel again, Ambassador, what is the one place in Ireland that we all need to head to here from Singapore?
So many wonderful places in Ireland that you all need to head to from Singapore. Dublin City is my city, where I'm from, and there you can see the Book of Kells, you can visit Trinity College, you can go to visit the Guinness Storehouse and the headquarters of Jameson, wonderful art galleries, wonderful museums, follow in the footsteps of all the great writers like James Joyce and Oscar Wilde. You can go down to West Cork and eat the best food and surf and swim on the best beaches. You can travel the wild Atlantic Way, and just on a clear day you can see all the way to America, and it's wild and rugged. And the air is pure and clean, and everything is green, and it's just fantastic. I know Singaporeans who go there, they love it because they can get away from the high-rise buildings and the traffic and the hustle and bustle. They can see real history, real nature, but they're also in a country that's vibrant and modern and well connected, and the people I mean, they're the real attraction of Ireland. The people are so warm, they're so friendly. As we always say, there's a Céad Míle Fáilte, 100,000 welcomes for everyone who comes, and we just are looking forward to welcoming people back, showing them the sights, the sounds, the food, the drink, and giving them a real warm, loving Irish welcome.
Well, I look forward to witnessing the Irish Green in person one day. Ambassador, thank you for sharing your playlist. Thank you for sharing a little bit about the history of St. Patrick's Day and why it's such a key date in the American-Irish political calendar as well. Always a joy to speak with you. Thank you for being here with us.
Been a great pleasure, Michelle. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Láda Pádraig chun a dit.
And to you, he's the Irish ambassador to Singapore, Patrick Bourne.